Welcome to part 2 of the Easy Granny Stitch Poncho. Please watch the first video for all the specifics. We are using Landscapes yarn in the color Tropics, and we are going to add pumpkin in right now. What you see before us here is one skein of the landscape in the beautiful color of Tropics, and I added a pumpkin edge to start. I have 9 rows. When I last left you, I predicted 10. 2 reasons that did not come true. One is, as I mentioned before, I like to keep all my color changes in back. And you can see where we split that V of stitches. It's 2 different colors here. This way, I'm ensured that my front matches at all times. I could reach the front with this tiny little bit here, but only do one of these V's. For myself and myself only, I decided to rip it back and end it right here before we add our orange in. Now if you're making a solid color one, you won't have this trouble. I don't even call it trouble. You won't have this change happening. And if you are changing, let's go ahead and start that. And what we are going to do here is remove my safety pin, which marks the end of the row for myself. And as always, we are going to slip stitch into the top of that 3, and we have 1, 2, and 3. Go ahead, slip stitch, chain 1. I want that slip stitch nice and tight, and then it is time to introduce our new yarn. Again, please skip this step if you chose to do one color for your poncho, and we'll just go ahead with our 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put this down for a moment, just tugging gently. I like to tie while I'm working, but I do untie this and sew in the end at the very end. And what we're going to do even is to make this end a little bit shorter, make it easier to work with, but still long enough to sew in at the very end. And as always, right there in the middle, we are going to dive right in and start with our, I know it looks a bit messy, but it will all work out in the end. And we chain and we dive right back in, being careful not to get that little bow in there. And here's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to finish our thought and make that chain right here. We'll go ahead and place our stitch marker back in where we began. See your double V right there? That is the top. I safety pin that in. And all we're going to do is continue our pattern all the way around in pumpkin. I like to give it a break. You saw in my Tomato Queen and the Blue Acorn Poncho that I like to mix the variegated yarns with, oh, we don't need 4, with the solids. Give it a little bit of break. I like pulling the color in, and this gives me a good accent color. So if I want to make a matching cowl or a scarf or a hat, I've got a solid color running through this all the way around to do so. And as I showed in my Harley Quinn poncho, it breaks up color patterning that you get when you work with variegated yarn, and it gives a nice break in color, makes it uniform. So what we're going to do is we're going to work our entire skein of solid color. We finished adding on our landscapes yarn in the color Tropics. I showed you where I added on the plain pumpkin, and I've gone all the way around, and I am adding an edge to this, and I do a half double crochet. So we'll go ahead and finish up the little bit that we have here, and I simply yarn over, insert my hook, pull through all three. I like a half double, especially if there's a chance that fringe is going to be added. Now you can see here when you get to your space marker, sometimes your stitch can be a little small. Certainly all right to go around it and pull through all three. Yarn over, and the next stitch has plenty of room and just nice and easy. And as I mentioned, I do like a half double, especially if I'm going to add fringe to it. I just think it gives it a very nice base to work with. This particular poncho will not have fringe. I've done lots of fringe videos, which I will link below, and that's simply wrapping your yarn around a 12-inch ruler and cutting it and just weaving it into your edge half double crochet here. And again, I did that several times, so I'm not going to do it to this one because I already have a poncho with fringe. Now if a customer should buy this on Etsy and wants fringe, I'm more than happy to add it, but right now, since I already have one for sale up there, I will not. And we are coming up on my very last stitch, the stitch marker, aka my favorite safety pin, right here, and yarn over, pull through. You've got one more, yarn over, pull through, and right smack in the middle there, ooh, we need to yarn over, pull through. And you can see we're just going to add that half double crochet all the way around until you reach the end. Now I will tell you, this is how much yarn I have. So I told you to get 2 in the beautiful Tropics or contrast color and 2 in your solids. Now if you're just making one for yourself or you're particularly taller, you might want 5. Especially if you're adding fringe. There's plenty of yarn left here to add fringe. And this was Lisa's Easy Granny Stitch Poncho. As always, I thank you for liking, watching, and and subscribing to my channel. Email me your photos. I would love to see what you're crocheting. I'll share them here on my channel. And thank you, everybody, for subscribing. I really do appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.